Sad news for every Spurs fan across the world. Victor Wembanyama is out for the remainder of the season with deep vein thrombosis in his right shoulder. That was the tweet that came out from Shams earlier today. Just incredibly sad news. As a Spurs fan myself, this was very deflating, to say the least. We obviously had the All-Star break where, it's a break for all the players. Get lineups situated, especially with the Spurs. If you've been watching, lineups have not been great. Mitch Johnson was talking about how lineups will be a main focal point of the All-Star break, getting ready for the second half of the season. We obviously got Fox. This All-Star break could be used to get him situated more into our plays and lineups, etc. It kind of looked like Pop was coming back, closer and closer to coming back. He might still come back still, and it's definitely not out the picture with this injury. But it was just like looking like it was all culminating to something really cool, really special to end this season. Obviously nothing like we're going to win the championship, but just like a playoff push, make it competitive towards the end of the season, make things interesting. And this news breaks, and this pretty much ends the season for the Spurs. They're not going to do anything with just De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox, of course, is a all-star caliber player, but I don't think he's going to be able to lead this team all the way to the playoffs with the Spurs still at the 12th seed out west. This, and also the Spurs don't really have a backup center, unless you want to consider Bismack Biyombo, even though Mitch Johnson hasn't played him at all. So this, of course, is horrible news. Wemby goes through what's going to be about a 3 to 6 month recovery from this, because I believe this is how it starts, with them taking some sort of medication that is blood thinning medication. I'm not, also in this video, I'm not a doctor. I'm not claiming to know any things that I obviously don't know about. I'm just saying what I've been seeing online from people I trust about this injury. So if I get anything wrong, it's my mistake. I do apologize. Take everything I say with a grain of salt. But from what I am hearing is that they take blood thinning medication for 3 to 6 months to get the blood clot out or whatever, and then after that they still have to realize or figure out what the reasoning for the blood clot getting there is, which could be a couple reasons. I'm hearing some people say it could be from just straight up blunt force trauma to that area. It could be, I'm hearing some people say it can be from travel, like very long travel, and the Spurs did have that very long Paris trip. So, and that was also around the moment where Wemby's fatigue kind of was visibly shown in games where he just didn't seem the same. There was also a moment where it was against the Grizzlies, where Gigi Jackson, not saying this was a dirty play, fell onto his shoulder when they were diving for a loose ball. That was a moment where some blunt force trauma went to his shoulder. I'm hearing some people say him being long and skinny and more of that type of build can lead to something like this. I'm also seeing some people say it could be genetic. I don't know how true that is, but the main thing that I am seeing from people I trust is this does happen with basketball players, people that play above the shoulder sports where they have to do constant motion upwards like basketball players do with shooting the ball, dunking, layups, and all that stuff. So it is somewhat of a not common, but something we've seen before, and also something we've seen players recover from. Going back to 2019, Brandon Ingram, when he was with the Lakers, had this injury, then was traded to the Pelicans. He was recovering through all of this, and it took him, I think he got injured in March of that season, in that 2019 season, 2018-2019 when he was with the Lakers. And then he still was able to come back the following season, which the season starts in October, and that was when he was traded to the Pelicans 2019-2020, and he was an all-star that year, most improved player. So it's definitely not like this injury holds people back if they recover fully. And the Spurs, immediately when this was announced, it was said that the Spurs medical staff do expect Wemby to have a full recovery and be 100% ready for the start of the 2025-2026 season. So that'll be cool. That's very good news, because this thing is a life-threatening thing if it's not caught right away. Or I don't know right away, but if it's not caught in general, this thing can be life-threatening. I hear it can go to your heart if not treated properly and swiftly, or the lungs or something like that. So it is not just for basketball, but for his health, a incredible thing that they found this when they did, because this thing can be very, very bad. Another thing I'm hearing is people very much so concerned that this can be a Chris Bosh situation. If you're not aware, Chris Bosh did retire due to having his a blood clot issue. But another thing I'm hearing right away is this is not nearly as bad, nowhere near as bad of a blood clot issue as Chris Bosh had, where that forced him to retire. Because for one, Chris Bosh was older when that was really starting to hit him bad. Wemby's younger, he can recover more easily and everything. But also just in general, this thing isn't as bad as Chris Bosh's situation, and it's not worried to be a long-term issue with Wemby. But from what a lot of people were seeing and what people were noticing in the medical staff was Wemby having experienced low energy, and that was causing a lot of concern. But this is a report from The Athletic, or a source from The Athletic saying this, quote, when he still had low energy at All-Star Weekend and through his 2-day vacation after it, the test began that ultimately uncovered the deep vein thrombosis. The Spurs were very confident he'll be healthy and ready at the start of next season. So it was during All-Star break when they found this out. Really unfortunate. Before we get into anything basketball related, I do want to send my thoughts and prayers to Wemby, because this is just not something you ever want someone to go through, having to deal with blood clots in anywhere part of your body. But the shoulder and the medicine, I'm hearing the medication that they take, the blood thinning medication, does make you pretty much ineligible to play contact sports. That's why he's going to be out for the rest of the season. 3 to 6 months, I hear, is the window where he won't be able to have too much contact sport play. But going to basketball, once again, last thing, thoughts, prayers, hope everything goes well with the recovery, because you never want to see anyone go through that. But it does look very good that he's going to recover fine, but it's just going to be a couple months until we can get back into the hang of things. So going into what this means for the Spurs, what is next for them, and also what is next for Wemby's career. For one, I don't think this affects Wemby's career long term. I'm hearing everything positive in that sense, that this is not going to affect him long term. For the Spurs, I don't think this really affects anything too much. Like, I don't think this timing of the injury is just so awful, like the Spurs were about to compete for a championship or anything. It definitely sucks for a fan sense, and it just sucks that he has to go through this in general. But basketball wise, this did not come at the most worst time ever. The most worst, I know, is not a proper way of saying that, but it does not come at the worst time ever. But there is a couple unfortunate things basketball related with this injury as well. Obviously, Wemby has not played 65 games this year, so he will miss out on his Defensive Player of the Year that it was pretty much locked he was going to win, which sucks. People argue, I argue, that he should have won his rookie season when Rudy Gobert won. Now he will not be able to win his second year. So his third year, he'll have another chance. His third year, he'll have a chance on still becoming the youngest Defensive Player of the Year ever. He'll be 22 by the end of next year. So if he does win it next year, he still will be the youngest to ever win it, unless Dyson Daniels wins it this year. So Wemby will not be in contention for any end of season awards, Defensive Player of the Year, MVP, if you thought he was going to win that. No all defensive teams, all NBA teams, all of that stuff. He is officially crossed out. Even with a season-ending injury, there's a slight rule that the NBA has for season-ending injuries, where if you do have a season-ending injury, you still have to play 62 or more games in a season and play 85% of available games. So that's the only other way, and he has not gotten that. He does not meet that criteria, so he is out for all end-of-season awards. So Wemby does end the season averaging 24.3 points per game, 3.8 blocks per game. Back-to-back years, he's leading the NBA in blocks by far, and in totals, he has 176 blocks in total to end the season, and he's actually projected still to lead the NBA in total blocks by the end of the season. He has 1.1 steals per game, 3.7 assists per game, 11 rebounds per game. He's shooting 47% from the field, 35% from 3 on 8.8 attempts per game, and he shot 83% from the free throw line. All raises in efficiency from his rookie season. Pretty much everything got a boost in efficiency. His turnovers are down, his points went up, blocks went up, his steals went down 0.1, his assists went down 0.2, but his rebounds went up, his free throw, 3-point percentage, field goal percentage all went up, while also increasing his volume on those. He increased minutes, but he ends all of that playing 46 games this year. So his sophomore year is officially over, putting up all-time numbers for a sophomore. But yeah, this is just super, super unfortunate. Wemby shut down for a second year. But to look for the Spurs, I hear that De'Aaron Fox is still going to sign a extension. This does not affect him signing an extension. He's still up for contract for 2 more years with the Spurs, including this year, I believe. And he still is up for extension, and is believed that he will sign that extension, re-sign with the Spurs. That does not change any. This injury does not change anything with him. Chris Paul, I doubt is coming back after this season. He has 1 year left on his contract. I believe honestly that he's going to probably go to another team or retire. I can see a universe though where he does come back for 1 or 2 more years, but I'm more so on the side. I think he is going to go to another team or retire. But Vassell, Keldon Johnson, Harrison Barnes, Chris Paul, Steph Castle, Sohan, Julian Champagnie, Mamu, Bismack Biyombo if he finally starts playing. All these guys and De'Aaron Fox, all these guys are going to be the roster to finish out the season for the San Antonio Spurs. Some people have said De'Aaron Fox should just take his surgery now, get his surgery now on his fingers that he has a problem with. I don't mind that idea, but I don't think right away. De'Aaron Fox still has to get used to this team, get used to this coaching staff and all that. Like, you have to let him play at least a little bit. Maybe towards the end of the season he gets the surgery and sit him out. But I don't think right now. Like, we still have a little under half a season left of basketball to play still. I don't think you sit De'Aaron Fox now on a surgery like that. If he gets the surgery in the off season, it's not gonna make him not be able to start next year. So this surgery isn't that bad. So I think you still play De'Aaron Fox a little bit. And maybe with like 15 games or so, you get him that surgery, since this team isn't really going to go anywhere. But for guys like Steph Castle, Jeremy Sohan, Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson, not really Steph Castle, but Jeremy Sohan, Vassell, and Keldon, I like this for them. This is the moment where they can really show if they are going to be long-term pieces for this team. I am more so on the side of keeping Jeremy Sohan, but Devin Vassell and Keldon are definitely on the chopping block for me, at least. I don't know for the organization and the general manager and all that, but I think this is a good time for them to show themselves, and if not, they can definitely get traded this offseason. We can see how that'll go, but for this team, I like this for Steph Castle. He can definitely show out a little bit more, get more in rhythm, show out his game a little bit more maybe. But with Wemby and Castle together on the court, that's always going to be a fun duo, and taking away his big man is definitely going to hurt him a little bit. But this is going to be some time for the young guys to show out, I guess. Chris Paul, this is going to be a lot of him teaching the young guys and stuff when Wemby's not on the court in the future, whenever he's on the bench or whatever. So I don't mind this. Like, it's not like a terrible situation basketball-wise. Like, this isn't like awful timing. This team wasn't going to go anywhere, but it just still sucks. Wemby is genuinely like non-stop entertainment when he's out on the basketball court. But what this does do for the Spurs is give them a very good chance of getting a very good high draft pick going into this draft, which is stacked. They have their own draft pick this year and the Atlanta Hawks draft pick, and the Hawks are currently sitting at the 8th seed, but they have not been looking too hot as of late. They've looked pretty good to start the season in the first half, but as of late, not too much. They're 4-6 in their last 10. They're 26 and 29, are the 8th seed. They still play today, so that record might change by the time you're seeing this video. But the Spurs are the 12th seed. They're 23 and 29, and they do have a game today, so that record will probably change by the time you see this. But those are 2 very good draft picks, and draft picks that can definitely fall in the lottery. And in a draft where you have Cooper Flagg, Ace Bailey, Dylan Harper, VJ Edgecombs, I don't know these guys too much. I have to look into their stuff. I'm going to look at that in the offseason and everything, but I definitely know these names and have heard good things. Trey Johnson, Boogie Fland or Fland, I don't know. I don't know these guys too well down here, but Liam McKinley, Kasparis, I can't pronounce that last name. Just some very solid guys. Asa Newell. I'm probably pronouncing these guys' name wrong, but this is looking to be a very stacked draft class from all the things I'm hearing, especially up top in that draft lottery, where the Spurs will probably be, and maybe the Hawks pick if we're lucky. Looking into the 2025-2026 NBA season, if everything goes well, we're going to have hopefully a lineup of De'Aaron Fox, fully healthy after that surgery. Stephon Castle going into his sophomore year after having maybe a rookie of the year type season. I'm seeing him in the running, like first place in all of these rookie ladders. So maybe we're gonna have back-to-back rookie of the years, which would be cool. But De'Aaron Fox, fresh off of his surgery and getting healthy for the season. Steph Castle, after a rookie of the year type season or a rookie of the year season, going into his sophomore year. At the 3, it could be a top 3, top 5 draft pick maybe. At the 4, Jeremy Sohan, and at the 5, Victor Wembanyama. And off the bench, maybe if we still have Vassell, Keldon, maybe another draft pick. Just like very, very solid guys. And I don't know if Chris Paul will still be on the team, but we'd still have Harrison Barnes unless we trade him. But Harrison Barnes out there. Hopefully we sign someone pretty decent. Well, I honestly think we need shooters, but that lineup of Fox, Castle, and a top 5 potential draft pick, Sohan and Victor Wembanyama going into his 3rd year, and I think that is a playoff team if I'm being honest. Wemby has constantly gone better and better and better both his seasons, and just going through each season he's just gotten better, and going into his 3rd year off of this, it's not really an injury, so it's not like this is going to affect him physically. It's just a medical condition that's just going to hold him out for a little bit, so he might have a little rust when he comes back, but once he gets that rust off, Wemby's coming for like vengeance. I believe, like, he feels like he's been robbed of DPOY, All-NBA, all defensive team, a chance for the playoffs this year with this injury. I think he's coming for vengeance. I think this is going to be a very, very entertaining 3rd year for Wemby and a great year for the Spurs, 2025-2026. It's going to be very interesting. Hopefully Popovich is back by then. We'll see if Pop comes back this year. And yeah, I really honestly do think the future is bright for the Spurs. This team is very good and has a very bright future. It's definitely looking down. It's definitely not looking great for the Spurs right now. But realistically, this team wasn't going to do anything. I don't know if you thought that this team was going to do something. Playoff experience is very much so valuable. So if this team did make a playoff push, it could have been valuable to get that experience. But if we're being realistic, I don't really think this team was making that far of a push. We kind of had a down period in January, and that was kind of when Wemby's play kind of started to dip a little bit, like late January, early February. So yeah, this team definitely wasn't going to do anything crazy, but this is just very unfortunate news with Wemby's injury. But what's next for the Spurs? Very, very good things. I really do believe so. Wemby's going to come back. He's going to be fine. We've seen multiple players come back from this. It just takes a little bit of time. It's going to be all right. Wemby's going to come back. This probably will not affect him very much. We saw Brandon Ingram, like I said earlier, come back from this and be an all-star. We're going to have a young group of guys, but still experienced guys. We're going to have Fox hopefully off of his surgery next year. Pop will hopefully be back. I really do think this is going to be good for the Spurs. Not the Wemby injury, but I do think the future is in good hands. And we got two very, very good draft picks coming up for a very good draft class. Whether we can trade them or use them, I think we're in good hands. I really do think this is going to be a good 2025-2026 season. Now this season, maybe not so much, but yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts and opinions as a Spurs fan. Definitely is depressing. Definitely does suck to hear, but in the long run, I do think this will not affect us negatively. I think this is fine. This might be a blessing in disguise, and this is all assuming Wemby's health is all good by the end of this recovery, which I do believe so, and is what the Spurs are saying. So I do believe everything is going to be all right. People did mention, remember when David Robinson got hurt, and that led to the draft of getting Tim Duncan because of it. Not going to say we're getting Cooper Flagg. That would take incredible luck, but this could be a blessing in disguise, assuming Wemby's health is all in good hands, which it is said it will be. So those are my opinions. Let me know y'all opinions in the comments below. If you like this video, hit the like button down below, subscribe button, notification bell, and I'll have to see you guys in the next video. Peace out.